Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Epic Vision Zone. My name is Jane Applegath, a former award-winning stockbroker, television producer, scriptwriter, yoga instructor, and serial entrepreneur, now founder of the Epic Vision Zone. I'm here to help you fulfill your big dream by empowering you to create a vision that will supercharge your messaging, money, and mastery. Because what you say and why you say it are the key to achieving epic success. That's why here at the Epic Vision Zone, we bring you the world's most influential people to inspire you to hit the go button on your epic life. A big thank you for everyone for being here today. Marianne Williamson wrote, "Feminine power isn't something we go out and acquire. It's already within us. It's something we become willing to experience, something to admit we have." Dr. Chris Sopa is fascinated by the world and our place in it. An industrial organizational psychologist and avid researcher, Dr. Sopa's passion is inspiring people not to be afraid of change, but to embrace it. Known for her ability to reveal an individual's unique human potential, it's no surprise that over the last 20 years, she has coached hundreds of executives, served as a corporate consultant and keynote speaker, and led leadership workshops across the country. Her expertise is making clients see that they can change the direction of their life and then showing them how. The key, she says, is to identify the disempowering thoughts and behaviors stopping you and then reframing them to empower you to boldly choose to live the life of your dreams. A multi-award-winning photographer, Amy Dini, calls herself a pretty simple girl who is hugely feminine. She loves lace, flowers, vintage everything, and coffee, apparently lots of coffee. Having spent 10 years as a psychiatric nurse, Amy now owns The Intimate Story, a place where intimate artistic boudoir portraits are beautifully curated to allow women to feel as beautiful as they really are. Amy says her studio, her art, is her happy place and an empowering place for every woman looking to positively change the way she thinks about herself. The why behind her passion of tasteful boudoir photography is to give women the ability to reevaluate their worth. And that change comes not from the body, she says, but from the mind. Amy proclaims this is the true power of boudoir, an experience you will never regret. Welcome both Chris and Amy for being here today. We're so excited to unpack this interview.
Very excited to be here.
Wonderful. Well, you two ladies have some incredible synergy going on here, and I want to dive right in and get to the female collaboration, the power of female collaboration, because here it is at its pinnacle. How did you both decide to combine your gifts to do a workshop for women?
Well, Amy is married to my favorite cousin. So we're technically cousins, Amy and I. And my cousin Tim has been saying for years, "Chris, you and Amy have to do stuff together," because he knows what I do. He knows what Amy does. And it took a little while, we're family, so we talk, but we ended up going on a vacation to Costa Rica together recently. And it was at that point that, I did boudoir for the first time. And we started to really talk about the synergy that we both had with how we love to empower women. And this idea was literally just born in the pool in our little Costa Rica VRBO.
Don't you love that? Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. And has it been on your mind, Amy, or did it just come to you while you were floating in the pool?
No, I am super passionate about what I would do. And so when my husband asked me if how I felt about Chris joining us for our trip, I was like, oh, of course. And then I was like, wait, this is totally my opportunity to get her in front of my camera and show her how gorgeous she is, because she's so, what better person to empower than one of the most important people in my husband's life besides me? And so it was just it just was magic. We just worked really well together. We hit it off together, and to be able to have that kind of like similar views on almost everything was like, okay, this just needs to happen.
I love that. It's like a powerhouse when you start to brainstorm and then that just clicks and you can feel the synergy and then you get excited. I think women do that particularly well because we do share and we do walk into each other's ideas and visions. So this is a very interesting quote that film director Ava DuVernay said. She said, "Our experience can't be dedicated by what we're allowed to do or given permission to do." So that really is a powerful statement that she says. Give us some insight into how your combined work speaks to this declaration on women.
I think for me and for my work, boudoir especially is something that when I first started, we had a hard time getting that accepted because women shouldn't do that. It was seen as vain and egotistical and all of those reasons. And that the whole idea of not doing something because you're told not to keep yourself from being empowered is just ridiculous to me.
And Chris, how about you?
Yeah. I go to more the consciousness, and this is why Amy and I are such a great pair with what we do. We have two types of consciousness. We have a victim or slave consciousness and a master consciousness. And when we're in victim consciousness, that is when we're letting the outside world dictate what we feel we should do. I think, Jane, you've heard me say we shouldn't should on ourselves. Don't should on ourselves, right? And that comes from victim consciousness, where we're doing things more for others rather than for us. Master consciousness is where you're coming from a place of your higher self and you're doing things that are really more in alignment with who you truly are. And what this workshop is doing, it's tapping into that master consciousness for these women and using the photography that Amy does so brilliantly to kind of show them, hey, here's the inner work we're doing. And then here's what it looks like now on the outside. Because I know for me personally, when I had my experience with Amy, when you start to change your inner thoughts and beliefs about yourself, you look different. It's like you look at yourself through a different lens. And so you actually see yourself differently. And that is one of our hopes with this workshop, is just to change that lens for these women.
Yes, I could see that. I mean, because our visual cortex, that's what feeds our brain. That's the biggest information network that we have. And, often we get up, especially since this pandemic has hit, we have tended to get a little bit not getting into our proper clothes, maybe hanging out in our pajamas all day. or maybe right. Not even, putting on some lipstick, who knows, maybe not even showering, God forbid. But also too, you're right. Tapping into what we see will trigger our feelings. And like you said, Chris, the mind work is what your expertise is in. And then of course, Amy, you bring in the visual, which is something that speaks to all of us in everything that we do and in our life. So I love that combination of the two. The intimate journey in the desert. Tell us about your exciting, life-changing idea and what makes this unique. Now, this is the idea that floated to you while you were in the pool. So give us some insight. Maybe we'll start with you, Chris, and then we'll go over to Amy.
Yeah, sure. So the intimate journey in the desert, we call these experiences, these 2-day workshops, the intimate journeys. And depending on where we will have them, depends on if it's in the desert, if it's in the jungle, wherever we might be. And it is truly a mind, body, and soul experience. And it's really combining those 3 elements, which make up who we are, into an experience that will help transform the way women view themselves and their body image. Because, as we all know, women in particular have a really hard time sometimes looking in the mirror. And we always, we like to pick ourselves apart with, I like this, I don't like that. And that comes from our mindset. And so in this 2-day workshop, we will be working on mindset and limiting beliefs and shifting that consciousness that I talked about, releasing some old wounds that have created this lens that they wear when they look at themselves, self-talk that is feeding that. And that is what we really hope to do, that after the 2 days, after a lot of pampering and a lot of healing and a lot of really challenging work where they look at themselves, they're going to end up with these beautiful images that Amy will take of them. And Amy is brilliant in how she works with you as a photographer. I'll let her talk about that. But, my experience with Amy was just so seamless. And for something that you go into that is very different than getting a headshot done for corporate, it was easy to do because she makes you feel so extremely comfortable.
Well, Amy, we'll pass it to you.
Yeah. Boudoir is one of the most vulnerable things that a woman can do. And especially because of all the societal criticism towards women, that you should look a certain way, you should be a certain size, you should be this. And those are always changing, those societal norms. And so boudoir is very, very vulnerable. And I try to create a very safe space for women. And we have a lot of discussion and with how they feel about their body, what they like about their body, what they don't like about their body. And what I'm able to do for them is I don't change them. I pose them in a way that allows them to see themselves as a whole instead of a combination of parts. And so they can't really pick apart the pieces that they dislike. They actually have to see themselves as a whole being instead of, oh my gosh, it's not my flabby stomach or my stretch marks or whatever. They see that those things don't matter in the whole picture. And then that starts to really change and reframe how they see themselves. And women, it is a very step-by-step process because I don't want them to feel like they have to come in and know what to do or know how to look sexy or how to smile. Like, you don't need to know any of those things. You just come in and you're vulnerable and we talk and we laugh and it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun, and then I give them to Chris and she can take those pictures and say, okay, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So this is really, really incredibly powerful. The fact that, you bounced it back to Chris in the sense that, well, let's see what you're seeing here, because what I feel, what's happening here is you are bringing out a woman's essence. It has nothing to do with her body. It has nothing to do with how she should feel. This has everything to do with her feminine essence. And in order to get them there, you both are working on the two different components that really hit home, which is the mind and the thoughts that we have. That's Chris's expertise. And then Amy, you're moving with them as they bloom, basically, because you're helping them open up. So This is just incredible. I love that whole the circle, the full circle of bringing this to life. So let's get into what boudoir is, seeing as a lot of people have a misconception. So exactly what is it and what is it not? And Amy, we'll start with you.
Yeah. I think, boudoir is the way to get women to see themselves as a whole person. It isn't that you are more than the things about your body that you dislike, that you are being able to finally see yourself from someone else's eyes. And that becomes really, really powerful because we are, as women, we are always our own worst critics. And when you take away the ability to nitpick against yourself, then you can see yourself for the beautiful woman that you are, and that you don't have to lose 20 pounds or go to the gym or anything. Like right here, right now, you're beautiful, you are powerful, you're gorgeous. And I think what's important to say is that boudoir it means different things for different people. And some people, are in lingerie. Some people are not. Some people are naked. Some people are not. It is all very, very personal in what that particular woman needs for her to be able to see what she actually looks like. And I think that the part of the lingerie or the nudity that comes into play is that the less clothing there is, the more or the less things that she can actually hide behind. And that's very important. But boudoir isn't sex. It isn't sexual. It isn't pornography. It is about a woman embracing her body and, like you said, the essence of her femininity.
Right. It's beautiful. And Chris, I know you went through this experience. So give us some idea, because of your background as well, how this maybe made a shift in you, and how it actually made you feel.
Yeah. So I have never done anything like this before, right? I was raised the good Catholic girl, and all of the things, Amy was saying that people have this preconception of what this is. We're kind of in my head too, but I wasn't judgy ever about it. And when Amy, posed this to me and said, hey, let's do some pictures, let's do outside. And she wanted to experiment a little bit. I really went into it. So please. Yeah. So mindset wise, I went into this place of, I really want to get the most out of this. I knew where I was uncomfortable. Amy does a great job with, hey, what do you like about your body? What don't? And I'm like, I don't like my thighs. I don't like my butt. I don't like my nose. We're able to pick out those things very quickly. And I just went into it with a very open mind. And I thought, what, it's just Amy and I. It was a very comfortable session. She so is great at what she does, because one of the things she did that I think is so extremely powerful, you see all of her great shots here. And, as a woman, we tend to make excuses for ourselves. If I saw an end shot, I would, I might say, oh, she probably touched that up. I'm sure I have more cellulite than that, right? But what Amy does is she will show you the pictures in time. So she would take a couple shots of me, and then she would say, look at how gorgeous your legs look, and look at how great your butt looks, right? And she would show me in her camera, and I would go, holy cow, that's me. And she's like, yeah, look at you. And so that part was so powerful. After, I can truly tell you that when I looked in the mirror after I had this done, and Amy sent me all the pictures, and I specifically told her, don't really touch, I don't want you to touch anything up. I really want you to just, just show me raw, so I can accept that. I look at myself even to this day different in the mirror. It's more of a not pick myself apart, but damn, I look good. Look at those boobs. Look at me. I look pretty good. So it is truly transformational. And it was just a short period of time. I don't know, Amy, we probably were doing it for 2 hours, maybe outside in Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah. And most of that was just trying to find locations, because I wasn't as familiar as I am at my studio, and playing around with things. We had a great time.
Yeah, it was fun.
And I love to show.
Go ahead, Amy.
Oh, I was going to say, I love to show people the back of the camera so that they can be, because that is a common thing, like Chris said, is that a lot of women think, oh, well, you just Photoshopped that. I don't body modify anyone. So I can show the camera right away and be like, here, this is what you look like. And that's really, really powerful.
Yeah. Super powerful.
Yeah, that's the feeling that I get. And the fact that it's fun as well. This is the whole thing. It's not that we're rooted in some sort of serious photograph session where, you have to sit there and hold this pose, or we want to hide this, or we want to highlight that. It's more a fluid experience, and that makes it so much more engaging as well. And I love the fact that you can show them the photos so that they feel more comfortable. I find that would make me feel more comfortable. So you get an idea of what's happening. And it's a collaboration again, because you're showing them so they can say, yes, no, I feel it, I see it, I love it. And I love the fact, Chris, that you said, damn, I'm good looking. Because you know what? We are pretty hot.
Aren't we though?
So
we are.
Yeah, I know. We all rock, it's just it's like you said, it's that mindset. And that's what this is doing, is like you come out of this feeling. And speaking of empowering women, I was segueing into this. Besides what I've just said, what other things do women walk away with the empowerment through a session in boudoir? And then, of course, Chris can speak to how that shifts your mind and why that's working the way it is. So maybe, Amy, we'll start with you on some of the things that clients have said to you and how they've made them feel empowering. And then Chris will go to you with the mindset and how you can see from your perspective, what's that doing to an individual?
I think for me, or for my clients, what I hear most often is that it shot their confidence through the roof. And when we're shooting, I'm very encouraging, and I'm telling them all the beautiful things that I see that look amazing on their body. And women are not used to hearing compliments like that, especially from another woman. I think it's women tend to be a little bit more critical of other women. And when they come in, and so you're being complimented, and then you're seeing the photographic proof that those compliments are completely real. They're not contrived. They're not anything. And so they walk out of my studio feeling like they are a supermodel. They walk out feeling super confident. They walk out not hiding from the mirror anymore is probably the biggest thing they tell me, or that their intimacy with their husband has changed because they no longer need to keep the lights off. And it's all of those things that are just such an incredible change that happens in an hour or two of taking photographs.
I can see that, and I can feel that, because a lot of times, and it really, like, this speaks to Chris's work, there's embedded limiting beliefs that we have, and it could be from, our culture, it could be from our families, it could be from our friends even. It's very interesting how we absorb things throughout our life. So Chris, maybe explain from your point of view what some of those shifts that this type of work is doing internally for your mindset.
Yeah. So in that hour or two that you're with Amy, your body is not changing, right? I had the same body walking into my shoot as I did walking out. So what constitutes the difference in how I'm seeing my body? And it literally is that mindset. We get so caught up just as humans, not just women, but as human beings, men do this too, in our own preconceptions and our own perceptions of things. We see ourselves through a much different lens than other people see us. And what Amy is doing is, by taking these pictures, we, for a moment in time, get to see ourselves through a different lens, literally, of how this is how someone else sees us. Like, a great example would be, I talked about my butt a lot. And I'm like, I don't like the cellulite in my butt. And Amy would say, Chris, think about when you're looking at your own butt, you're standing in the mirror and you're like cocking yourself sideways and you're tensing all those muscles. Of course, you're going to have dimples and all of that. You don't know what you look like from behind. And so she focused a lot on my butt. Now, was it uncomfortable at first? Absolutely, yes. But what it did was, then when she turned the camera around, my first comment, and Amy, you probably remember that, I was like, that is not my butt. And she was like, yes, it is, because you're seeing it from a different angle. What that does to the mind is it shifts your perspective in your head for a moment. It pushes against that limiting belief and shows you a different truth. Now, at the end of the day, the women can walk out of Amy's session and choose whichever truth they want. But this is so powerful when you get to see yourself through that lens, that you can't help but lean into this new truth because it feels better. Jane, you've heard me say how everything is feeling. We want to lean into the things where we feel better about life, about ourselves. And this makes you feel better. Amy is so great at what she does. She makes you feel better. And you want to cling to that feeling. That in and of itself, it just switches the neural networks in your brain, and it starts to short out the old ones and kind of recreate these new neural pathways, where you start to really, when you look in the mirror, a new neural pathway is triggered. You're like, wow, I like what I see, versus I don't like what I see.
Wow. That I love that you said it's a different truth. It's a new truth. That really stuck with me, because you're right. Perspective is everything. And when we change that, we change the story that we've been telling ourselves, like yourself, about your butt. But,
Right.
who knows? Now maybe you're wearing bikinis. I don't know.
I love my butt now. I love my butt.
Good to know. but this is the whole, it is, oh my gosh, I can't imagine these women walking out of this workshop and they're going to be like, they need their cape on because they're going to feel like super women. I love it. I mean, so speaking of that, there is a thing that's called the 4 aspects of body image. And I found that the 4 aspects of body image to be fascinating. Can you tell us what they are and how the workshop will shift these aspects? Now, you might have spoken a little bit about that. Chris, we'll start with you. And Amy, you might pick up on some of these because you see it through your lens. So we'll just start, and how that affects our behavior as well, is what you were just saying, Chris.
Yeah, sure. So the first one is the way you see your body from a perceptual image. So we've talked about that already. Perception is reality. Our perceptions are formed from our past experiences and the people we interact with over time. We have some perceptions of our body and who we are, from when we were younger, from being a teenager, all of the experiences that we've been through. That shapes part of what we believe because the perceptions are reality. The second one is really the way you feel about your body as an effective body image. So, and this is more from an emotional standpoint. So behind every feeling is an emotion, and emotions drive every single behavior that we have. They really do. They are everything. How we feel about our body is expressed then through our body based on what we do and then what we choose not to do. So it starts to become visual. The next one is the way you think about your body from a cognitive perspective. This talks about, the mind itself, how the mind is connected to the body. Those two consciousness, try to say that word 3 times, consciousnesses. The victim consciousness and the master consciousness. It shifts from a thinking of I am my body to my body is mine, but I am not my body. I am not my body, but it is just mine. It's a vehicle that I use. It's a vehicle I take care of. And then how you use it starts to shift when you go into the 4th perspective, which is more the behavioral body image, because all of these 3 things combined together then dictates how you behave, what you choose to do with your body and how you see your body. So they really all come together, those 4, in a nice little package for women. And really that's the transformational journey. You start from within and then you change what you see without.
Yeah, so powerful. And Amy, when you were saying that, Chris, especially the behavioral, I was thinking when you first start taking the photographs, their behavior would probably be a little bit more stilted. But once they start seeing and feeling, so maybe tell us the transition that you start to see from your point of view.
I think actually it starts before they decide they have a boudoir session. So they have to get to that point. They have that behavioral idea of their body that they can't do this, that they have they're too old, too fat, too whatever they weigh, whatever 2 thing that they think they are, that they can't do it. And then once they come in, then like you said, they're very, very stilted. They're very nervous. Some of them are shaking. We've had tears, because it's a very, very vulnerable process for them. But then as they go through their journey and see their images and the session goes on, I see them just completely blossom into these women who walk out strutting because you just see that metamorphosis from them. And it is incredible and beautiful all at the same time.
Yeah, so they're strutting their stuff. I love it. You know, they're like you said, the body is it's something we take care of, but we aren't our body, but we can honor it and we can enjoy it. So yes, I love that juxtaposition. I mean, that is so powerful. So tell us how this changing body image will help future generations. Maybe Amy, will start with you and then Chris.
So the biggest thing that I tell my clients is sometimes they're a little hesitant because of their children. And I said, no one is born hating their body. They are learning that. And they are learning that from a lot of different places. The majority is they're watching you and they're seeing that. And that comes, and that actually hits really hard home for me on why I do what I do. My daughter at the time was very tiny and came home crying one day because she didn't have a thigh gap, and she was in high school and she needed to sit behind or be able to fit behind a piece of paper, whatever the trend was at the time. And I said, sweetheart, it's okay. Genetically, you just don't have a thigh gap. Your body is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you need to love your body. And she looked me straight in the eye and said, well, you don't love yours. And I said,
Wow.
Okay. And that was a really, really hard lesson to learn, and it's one that makes me a little bit more emotional. But as a parent, that is not something you think about ahead of time. But those little girls and boys are sitting watching us pick our bodies apart, saying, no, mom doesn't want to be in the camera, let's hide, or I don't like this dress, I don't like the way I look, I don't like this. They're absorbing that, and that's what's teaching them how to act. And now with the pressures of social media and all of that's going on as well in those young kids' lives, they're just being inundated with all of that pressure. So if we can change that for moms, then they can start to have an impact in those future generations.
Beautiful. I love it. And Chris?
I always say that people watch us more than they listen, because we listen more with our eyes than we do with our ears. And to echo what Amy said, I have 2 daughters. My daughters are grown, and I have always wanted to exemplify, and that's what's been my motivation, really, to transform myself from the inside and some bad habits and how I see my own body, just so they can then watch me as an example and as a role model. One of the things as women that I think we lack, in corporate especially, is really good role models of, hey, what does it look like to love your body, right? It is sometimes hard, like, who pops into your head that, who is a role model for that? We don't know. We need to become that. And really, it's not just for our daughters, but for boys as well. I mean, boys struggle with their body image as much as girls do. Girls have a little bit more social pressure because of how society is and some of the stigmas and stereotypes. But I think it is something in general for both sexes to really be able to become those role models and show others, not just talk about it, but show others, this is what it looks like to love your body, to love yourself for who you are. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to look like somebody else. I just need to look like me. And the more I love myself from the inside, the more beautiful I'll look on the outside.
Yes, I could so see how this affects the future generations. I mean, it's like Amy said, our children, they emulate what we show them. As Chris said, we see more than we hear. And boy, that is such an eye opener, Amy, that when your little girl said, why you don't love your body. And kudos to you for taking that and looking at it from another perspective, and look at where you are now. I mean, that is powerful because you took action, whereas a lot of individuals might have just taken that little piece of information and go, well, that's not true or whatever, but that is so powerful. I love that. Now, self-worth and body image, and this is a little bit of what we were referring to. What does self-worth have to do with our body image? Chris, we'll start with you, and then Amy.
Yeah, sure. So self-worth, really, the way I define self-worth, obviously self-love is a part of that, but it is how worthy do I feel to take up the space I'm in. A lot of people that have lower self-worth feel like they don't even deserve to take up space in the universe. And when we start to work with body image, because body image has a lot to do with that, and we start to build up, hey, you know what, I'm worthy of taking up space. I'm worthy of being here. I have uniqueness. I have gifts that only I can share with the world. And then we start using their physical body to show them how beautiful they are. And those two things really come together. That self-worth just starts to blossom because they start to see, hey, I'm valuable. I mean, we don't take care of what we don't value. And most of the time, and I know Amy sees this too, is that women probably come in. I see women in my coaching business that come in to me and are not taking care of themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually because they don't value themselves. They would never do the same thing with their child or their significant other because they value that person. And so it's starting to learn how to turn that around where, I ask my clients all the time, and I tell them, you need to be your own parent. What would you tell your child? How would you take care of your child if your child had a headache? You would say, go lay down, drink some water, take care of yourself. When we have a headache, we just push through and we have all these expectations. And so self-worth is something that I think is so important that increases, again, like we talked about before, it shows through your body. And when you look in the mirror and you have a different idea of your body image and you see it from a more positive perspective, that it's like a loop and it just keeps feeding itself.
Right. That was perfect. Beautiful. And Amy?
I'm like, I don't even know what I can add to that. She did a good job with that one. I think that's what we see. We see a lot of self-worth issues, and that's what the clients are coming in. My clients are coming in, and it takes them a long time. Sometimes it takes them years to book because they don't think they're worthy of the experience. And it breaks my heart to see that, but women don't take care of themselves, and they think that because they do not fit whatever idea that they have is perfect, they're not worthy to come in. So they're not worth the time, the effort, or the finances. And I find it really important to note that I have been doing this for 10 years, almost. And I have seen so many clients, and it doesn't matter what they look like or any of those clients that I showed you or that you showed on the screen. Every single one of them hated their body. I've never had a client come in loving her body. And to me, that's the biggest problem that I want to change. Is that's a societal problem. That isn't a woman problem then.
Yeah, I could definitely see how the self-worth would elevate once they see the beauty of who they are. Because you're right, we don't look at ourselves in that way. We just, and North American culture, we're always in a rush. We have our to-do list. We have, so it's like we come last. And women particularly put that, because we're nurturers, we always take care of everyone else before we take care of ourselves. And our outer appearance, it's true. I mean, some days, I don't feel like putting on my lipstick, but when I do, I feel better. It's because, I'm worth it. I'll put some on and make me feel a little better. And this is taking it an extra step where you're saying, let's put you in your best suit, which is your body. This is what you wear every day. Let's make it awesome. Let's make it magnificent because you are, right? This is your superpower. And really, women do have a superpower because our bodies are beautiful, I have to say. So,
right, they are.
They really are. So I could see where this next question, how boudoir changes confidence levels. Okay, so you have somebody come in, and like you said, Amy, they're nervous. They that's interesting that you said they're even shaking. So maybe Amy, will start with you, and then Chris, just about you, how you see that shift in self confidence and how you feel that it's affecting them.
I think when clients come in, they don't exactly know what to expect. And it doesn't matter how many times I shoot live or I show them and I write emails and all of those things. They don't know what to expect because in their back of their mind, they love my work. However, they think that they are going to be the one person who I'm going to take pictures of, and those are going to suck. They're pretty certain about it when they come in the door. And so we make it a really concentrated effort to kind of show them right away. Like I will show a picture in the first like 5 frames that I take that shows them that even though they might feel awkward, because some of the posing is a little bit awkward or a lot of bit awkward, right, Chris? And that this is what they actually look like. This is what they look like at this moment in time. And for every pose we do and every picture I take and everything that I show them, they just get more and more confident. So women who came in initially and they're like, okay, well, I just want to do more like face shots or, all the, then I don't care that we can say that that's what they're going to do when they start. But as we go through their session, then all of a sudden they're like, no, I think I'm comfortable posing. I think I'm comfortable being nude, or I'm comfortable being in less clothing. I want to see all of my body now. I'm ready to see all of my body. So it's that journey that they have to go through.
Yeah. Chris, that's the journey you went through?
So the uncomfortableness is true. And it's not even just from a mental uncomfortableness. Mm-hmm. It truly is some of the poses, and this just shows how good Amy is at what she does, but she will coach you before she takes the first picture. Your toes mm-hmm. always need to be like pointed. What do you call them? Barbie toes? Like Barbie I think toes. Is what you call them, like Barbie toes. Mm-hmm. It's like boobs to Jesus, like, things like that, like where she's telling you how you need to be. And some of the poses, you're in positions that aren't comfortable, but the great dichotomy of that is that mentally, this is what I experienced. I started out mentally and physically uncomfortable, right? You kind of start at that place where you're just like, this just is uncomfortable all around. I don't even know what to think about it because you're in such an unknown space. Your brain does not know what to do. And so it starts to grasp onto some things that maybe are familiar or that make you feel good. So then eventually you get used to the toes pointed and how that feels, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and you come to acceptance. And then as you do that, then your brain starts to relax a little bit, and you're like, oh, this isn't really so bad. And maybe I'll try this, and maybe I'll try that. I mean, I got to the point, we had several outfits, and we were trying out this location in Costa Rica. So we went from taking some shots in the bed to the patio to the stairs to the pool to the outdoor shower. And I had a different outfit on each time. Now, I got to the point towards the end where I'm ripping my clothes off, walking around naked outside, putting something else on as I'm walking. Now, that is so not me normally. But I was like, yeah, this is fine. Nope, that neighbor can see me. I don't care. Go for it,
It feels very safe. It feels very normal.
It does. It really does, because you just, as the shoot goes on, your confidence does rise, because you realize, we make things up in our brain. Fear does interesting things. You create these little monsters. And then when you actually step into it, you're like, well, this really is not that bad. And it's not like I'm the only one who's ever been naked outside in the entire world, right? People do this all the time. And you realize it's really not so bad. And then your brain starts to shift and everything starts to relax. And I think the pictures that Amy took, there was this one picture that is my favorite picture. And I wasn't even posing. She was checking her camera like settings. And I was laying on the concrete on the pool, like right by the pool. And all I had was this beaded necklace on. And it was just this shot of this part of me. But she was just like, just lay there for a minute. And she was checking her camera lens. And it's my favorite picture because I just had this really kind of, I don't even know how you would describe it, Amy, this really relaxed look on my face. And I'm just kind of laying there like, yeah, this is what I'm wearing, You
just looked happy and confident. You were just relaxed, happy, and confident. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we'll strut around in our birthday suits, but I wouldn't recommend walking the sidewalk like that. It might be
definitely
a little
not.
dicey.
Probably not. Yeah,
Yeah,
you need a safe space.
Oh my God. Yeah, I love those. You went from the pointed toes to the boobs to Jesus. Oh my gosh, it's hysterical. I love it. I wonder what else you have in there in your box that you get people. Oh, that is just perfect. Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, okay. Well, we'll now go into the epic experience. Now we had a little bit of experiencing there, but what can people expect when they take this 2-day workshop that's coming up? So, Amy, we'll start with you. And you guys will just tell us some of the things that they can expect with this 2-day epic experience.
I think the location itself is beautiful. It's remote. There's pools, there's spas, there's huge showers. It's just a very, very bougie place that is just very fixated on healing. So I think what they can expect is they can expect to be pampered more than they ever have been in their whole lives. We have everything from the boudoir session and the coaching aside. We have a private chef coming in. We have journaling materials coming for them. We have healing activities to do. We're making it very, very small and intimate groups so that people feel comfortable and safe together. And then Chris, I'm gonna let you talk more about the rest of it.
Yeah, sure. So the pampering and all of the outward stuff is really important, just because we do want to create a safe environment where they feel safe, because when we feel safe and secure, then we start to trust more, not just those people we're with, but ourselves. And that's super important because the mental part of the work we'll be doing, the workshop itself is bouncing between, let's do some mental work and spiritual work and energy work. And now let's take some pictures. Now let's go back and what was that experience like? What came into your mind? What were you comfortable with? What were you not comfortable with? And do some more work and then bounce to more pictures. And so this experience itself is almost them gradually seeing that they'll have an image when they first get there of, hey, this is who I think I am. This is how I see my body. And our hope is, and what we work on with them is using all of these different tools, allowing the women to choose what works for them, transform and really release a lot of these limiting beliefs and lies they tell themselves about who they are and how they're connected to their body and what their body looks like. And so our hope is really that after these 2 days where they experience the healing, the pampering, some other little surprises Amy and I, are planning on adding in, that not only are they a connected group, because they'll also have a private, Facebook group that they can then talk about their experience afterwards. They'll have one-on-one coaching with me. They'll have group sessions. They'll pair up. They'll have healing sessions. That all in of itself, it's an intense 2 days, but at the end of it, they will leave feeling refreshed, not tired, because of what we have helped them accomplish in the place we've helped them get to.
Right. I could see them leaving transformed. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this it's so unique. It's so one of a kind experience for women, because you've got, you've got not just the mental education, I guess, if you want to put it that way, but you've also got it's an experiential workshop where you've also got, you're putting that into play. Like you say, Chris, they'll experience something and then you'll talk about it and you'll unpack it. And then you'll have some journaling sessions and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is a really complete package where a woman who is going through anything in their life or wants to completely embrace who she is today and move forward in her life, because let's face it, there is a lot of disruption going on in the world. This is a workshop that could really empower them. So when they come out, whatever obstacles they had faced before or whatever changes they saw that they wanted to make in their life, I feel that this is where they'll be able to step right into those, because they'll have the confidence, they'll have the information, they'll have the body, they'll just walk through life with total confidence and self-worth. Like you say, I mean, I find it shocking that some women don't feel they're worth this experience. I mean, that's sad to me. That's really sad, because we forget that we need to celebrate ourselves first. We need to lead ourselves first before we can lead others, including our children, or our team at work or our business. So this is the first step to changing your life, I think, to transforming your life. Yeah. And I love it. I think this is great. So give our audience the information. You can share it here and we'll be putting it on the Epic Vision Zone pages as well. But either of you, whichever one wants to give some the dates and information, and we'll be putting more on the site. So go ahead.
Amy, go ahead.
All right. So we're going to be doing, I knew you were going to ask me. I wrote it down. August. Guess I don't have the dates. I'm sorry.
It's no, it's okay. August 27th and 28th. So it's a Saturday and Sunday. And we will be at the Cave in Cave Creek, Arizona. So if you've never been to Arizona, which I know a lot of your listeners probably live here, beautiful. Cave Creek is very remote, gorgeous location in the middle of the desert. It's called the Cave Creek Healing House, where we will be. It will be 2 full days. Private chef. We're going to feed you. We're going to feed every part of you, your body, your spirit, your mind, your soul, your emotions. We're feeding pretty much every part. We do have a very small group. So we're only accepting 8 women every time we do one of these 2-day workshops, because as Amy mentioned, we want it to be intimate. We want everyone to feel safe. And we really want to be able to Amy and I both to be able to spend time with each one of these women to really help them walk through this process. And it will be application. So not anybody can sign up. It's something that they do have to fill out an application. They do need to have a brief 15-minute phone call with Amy and I, just so we can talk to them about their intentions, what they're looking to get out of it, because it really is a workshop that needs to be the right fit for the participants, because that in and of itself makes the whole group a successful group as well. And so, yeah, we will be, we are starting to market it actually today. There will be information on my website. Amy's will send the info to you. All of the pricing and location and all of that will be included. And we plan on having many of these, definitely more in Arizona. We have one, coming up that we are planning in Costa Rica, in Quepos, Costa Rica. And we would love to just take this to a bunch of beautiful remote locations so women really could have a break and feel like they're being pampered and taken out of their ordinary and putting them into a non-ordinary where they can really work without distractions.
Right. It sounds wonderful, but it's so much more than just taking a woman out of her environment, because it's life-changing. It's a life-changing experience. And I could see why you want to keep it intimate and that you want to get the right mix of individuals, because I see women walking away with lifelong friends. I mean, it's that
sure.
it's a group that will probably be together and stay together for a long time, because they'll have shared so much intimacy at every level, so I can feel the power behind this. So we'll start with you, Amy. Any last words that you would like to share with our audience?
I think the one thing that we forgot to mention is that, the benefit to doing it this way is that a week or two later after their session, they're going to actually get their images. So that is going to bring them back into those emotions and those feelings and raise up that self-confidence again, to kind of help further solidify how they were feeling.
That's wonderful. I love that. And Chris, any last words you would love to share?
Yeah, I think, the thing to remember is that we all do our own self-development work. And there are some things where we really, in order to break through, we just need other people. I always use the analogy of a baby chick. So, a baby chick is in its egg, and everybody thinks that the baby chick, pecks itself out. But in reality, what happens is the baby chick starts to pick from the inside. The mother hen hears it and starts to pick from the outside. And that's what actually breaks the egg and helps the baby chick be born. And so I use that analogy because this is something, self-worth and body image are such deeply rooted spiritual things for women, especially, that, we will probably have a lot of women, and I know Amy sees this, of women that have been pecking from the inside for so long and just feel like they just can't get anywhere. And what we're doing with this workshop is we're coming in, pecking a little bit from the outside to helping them break open that shell and really transform and finally get to where maybe they couldn't get on their own just because they needed that support from other women.
I love that metaphor. That is absolutely beautiful. Yes, I completely see that here. Well, thank you both. I have one last question because we're here on the Epic Vision Zone, and we'll start with you, Chris. If your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
I love it because I do feel like my life is an epic story. It would probably be The Amazing Adventures of the Traveling Psychologist, because I love to travel and grow while I do that. So that's what mine would be.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I want to read it now. So get writing that book.
I will.
Yeah. And Amy, what would your title be?
I would say, I think it would be The Brave Journey of the Empowerment Queen.
Oh, The Brave
So
Journey
perfect.
of the Empowerment Queen. I love it. Oh my gosh, I love that title, The Empowerment Queen. Well, here you both are, the Empowerment Queens. I can't believe it. That's fabulous. And what will happen is every lady and woman who goes through your session will walk out an empowered queen.
That's right.
Yeah, I love it.
that.
I love it. Yeah, maybe get the T-shirts. I'm an empowered queen.
What good idea, Jane. I like that idea.
I do too. I want one.
Okay. Yeah. Love it.
We'll start a whole club. Okay. So thank you, ladies. Oh my gosh, Amy and Chris, for joining us here today. I am so very excited about this program. I think it's going to be epic. I can feel it. I mean, it's exactly what women need. It's exactly coming at the right time and place in the world. And you can find all of the details for this life-changing workshop on the Epic Vision Zone bio pages under the Intimate Journey in the Desert. So it will be listed under the Intimate Journey in the Desert, which is the title of the workshop. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath. And don't forget to reach out to me at janeapplegath.com, where you can grab a free download, the keys to your dreams. Looking forward to hearing from you. And this is the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dreams into epic success.